Our project is Context Changes in Social Media Contributions. It's a joint project of the Institute for Visualization and Interactive Systems at Stuttgart University and the Institute for Wissensemedien in Tübingen in the context of the WissenschaftsCampus. If you've seen the presentations of the other projects, there's one big difference. We were late to the party and started at the beginning of last year, so we're not at the end of the project, but right in the middle of it. In this project, we aim to enable social media analysts, journalists, psychologists to detect context changes and framing effects in reused digital fragments. And because purely automatic methods are not sufficient to do this, since those effects can be subtle, we need user knowledge, for example, of current political developments or pop culture references, and overall knowledge of the world. We combine communication sciences and psychology with information visualization and visual analytics to develop techniques for interactive analysis of context changes. With the analysis, we aid the understanding of dynamic topic development and enable the investigation of context changes in the relation of a digital fragment and the social media contributions referring to it. Digital fragments can be links, images, videos, text. In social media, users make contributions by posting links to those digital fragments. As an example, let's take our favorite president and check out one of his tweets. This is our digital fragment, and several people retweet, link to it, and add their own comment, which are our social media contributions. By doing this, the context of the digital fragment may shift, such that there might be changes in meaning. The change in meaning is sometimes something profane and sometimes a political agenda. To determine the context of the social media contributions, as well as for the digital fragment. For now, we focus on purely textual cues as context indicators. In the future, we could add metadata like where a digital fragment is posted or the network of the one who posted. Those textual cues are the words used in the social media contributions. For example, these two tweets both use insults, and these two primarily talk about kids in cages. We tokenize the text and, after stemming, weigh the terms using TF-IDF. With the resulting features, we use k-means to cluster the tweets. We also provide options to use dbScan or LDA instead. Through clustering of the social media contributions, we can identify different contexts that they are associated with. Here we have 5 context clusters of different size, some are larger, some small, and we can see the words that are most salient differ greatly between them. We're also showing a median tweet for each context cluster for better human readability. We clearly see the kids and cages context chains appear as one of the context clusters. Context changes can involve framing effects and phenomena like hashtag hijacking, people using the attention a topic is getting to promote their own political agenda. Discovering such phenomena can be relevant for corporations to control their public image. Especially in a crisis, framing effects are important for the communication of organizations. Our collaborator, Professor Oates, has done some research on that. And in general, such analyses are highly interesting for journalists, politicians, or PR consultants who are keen on learning about different kinds of reactions of the public to certain events. We are working on extending our visual analytics system, adding more useful features and interactions. Let's go from the technical side to how to best present the information to the users. When we have a feed of social media contributions with lots of text, we'd like to identify possible context changes with a quick glance, observe how diverse the discourse is about a digital fragment, and examine where in that discourse individual contributions are located and how the digital fragment relates to that. For this purpose, we are exploring wordscape visualizations. Those are graphics the size of a word in the text you are reading. They can be embedded in text without disturbing the reading flow much. For example, let's look at this excerpt from a Twitter feed of people sharing the same digital fragment, a news story about Pamela Anderson's political activism. As a wordscape visualization, we chose a subdivided area chart. Let's enlarge the first one a bit. where the colored areas are the context categories, the result of the clustering of the social media contributions and the digital fragment. Their width is determined by the amount of tweets in that category. We set markers for the category the digital fragment is in and for the category of the current tweet. The word scale visualizations are embedded in the text of the tweets next to the digital fragment. This category, that of the digital fragment, is classified by activism-related terms. In that category, the social media contributions talk about acting-related things, like that tweet about Baywatch, for example. In general, when the markers are in the same category, there probably is no context change from the digital fragment to the social media contribution. Markers in different categories indicate a change of context and are easy to spot in word scale visualizations in the social media feed. For visualizing context changes of digital fragments in social media contributions with word scale visualizations, we explore and reason about various options. In user studies, we evaluate these options to learn more about word scale visualizations with the goal of detecting context changes. Questions are what kind of word scale visualizations to use, different kinds of interactions, and details about some components, like what kind of markers to use and where to place them, in the center of a category or towards the edge of a neighboring category if the contribution is close to that category. Color choices, and so on. And also some options of what data to present. For example, the size of a topic category. Should it be determined by how often the tweets in that category have been shared, or by the number of different tweets? There are also some edge cases to consider. You might have noticed in the previous example that some of the categories are small and narrow and therefore can be hard to see, like this one. Let's fix that by introducing a minimum width for each category box. But what happens to the other categories? They get smaller, which skews the proportions of the data between them in the visualization. We could have made the whole visualization larger, but then all the word scale visualizations have a different size. Another option is to enlarge the area the user is hovering over with the mouse cursor. However, this might prevent other mouse over interactions that would have been desirable. We hope to find out which versions are better in helping users understand for which digital fragments there are context changes and to encourage a detailed investigation of such dynamics. Alright, we have shown a prototype for preprocessing and clustering social media contributions and digital fragments. By embedding word scale visualizations in a social media tweet, we can relate the contexts of individual social media contributions with that of the digital fragment itself, and we can discover context changes with a quick glance. We extend our work by looking at some existing ground truth datasets and are currently working with the theme dataset for rumor detection that contains tweets related to multiple events, annotated with the truthfulness of the statements in the tweets. We also took Wikipedia articles as test data. They are unambiguous about one specific topic and thus easy for us to verify if our methods work correctly. Further, we collected a large set of Twitter and Reddit data as well as newspaper articles. Together with the EVM, we are hoping to create our own annotated ground truth dataset for social media contributions with subtle and not so subtle context changes that we can then use to evaluate our system. In those evaluations, we plan to assess our different visualization approaches and also the mental load of users. We'd like to evaluate how well users understand the data with our visualizations and if they can judge whether some topic developments actually are context changes or not. Furthermore, there are several parts, building blocks in our system that we are working on replacing with more sophisticated methods that emerged in recent years and have proven to be effective, especially in the natural language processing field. In the visualizations, we want to add sentiment and stats to help the assessment of context changes. And in the further future, we want to look at data from other social media platforms and also newspaper articles and compare the results. Normally, I would now ask if there are any questions, but as it seems for now, I can only thank you for your attention.